What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com. Did you miss me? Favorite blind film critic. This is Alien Earth, Season 1, Episode 8. This is a recap. And you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute. I've been following you with your recaps, sir. Where was your recap last week? Let's just say that I put it on hold indefinitely. But the word indefinitely had new meaning, and when indefinitely had a new meaning, I decided to jump back in on Alien Earth. If you're picking up what I'm dropping down, I was not watching certain content for a period of time and not giving it any coverage. And that just so happened to coincide with having seen episode 7, and at the time I would have put out a recap. I decided to not be giving coverage. I put that on indefinite hold. So now we're here with Alien Earth episode 8. And my last recap was episode 6. And those are the consequences. So we're moving forward. So in episode 8, whence last we left, what had happened was on Alien Earth, um, the our lost boys, which is so weird to say because now that one of the boys is dead, there's actually more girls, so they're actually like the lost girls, but uh, whatever. So Slightly and Smee had taken uh, Alfred, is that his name? Albert? I don't know. He died. And he had a chest burster in him, and the chest burster came out, and there was this whole scene. So we open on his body, like out there, and there's like a crab on it. I love the audio description on that like the xenomorph comes out and he's like staring at the body, and there's like a crab on it that like raises its pincher at it. I'm like, is it saluting the alien? Like, what is this little crab think it's gonna do to its xenomorph? I mean, there's no scene of the xenomorph attacking the crab. Is it like a mutual understanding between these creatures? I have no idea. So, but Wendy can still speak to the xenomorphs. So not good for everyone else because they have after the fight on the boat with her brother and where they knocked Nibs out because Nibs was attacking the other soldiers, and they ended up taking the two back, Wendy and Nibs, along with Smee and Slightly, and a very confused. She changed her name to Jane in this. She goes back by her name, which is, I love. It's the same thing they did with Isaac, where they said no, her name is Jane, and a very confused Jane are all in this cell together, and Jane is very confused because she's like, "But I'm his favorite. I didn't do anything wrong. I I didn't. I wasn't a traitor. I didn't run off and do anything stupid. You guys were the ones that did something stupid." But after talking to her other like-minded kids, she kind of ends up joining their side and seeing their side of things, and which is why she's Jane now. So the five of them end up breaking out. Wendy is really good at hacking. Just exceptional. This is exactly what Boy Genius wanted. And yeah, well, he got it because Wendy can hack into things, and um, the doctor that survived, Sybil's not right. Sydney Sarcophagus, Dr. Sarcophagus, the one that performed and wiped Nibs's memory. Admit it, her name would be so much better if it was Sarcophagus. She's seeing pictures of the girls when they were young, and sort of reminiscing, and yeah, she fucked up Sylvia, and Nibs finds her, and so the whole thing is the kids are going around and they're rounding up people. We have our two cyborgs who are fighting each other. Uh, Originally, Morrow is trapped in a cell with, I don't know why, but with Joe, who, they have some conversation, and then a guard comes in. I still don't know why, and gets beaten to death by Morrow because they put, so he has a cyborg arm, and they decided to put like a cap around it, but it's like a metal cap. So his already likely super heavy arm was made even heavier by putting more metal on it. I didn't understand this at all. Like this made no sense. Um, so whatever. But he beats the guy to death and then gets the metal shit off of his arm and gets his arm back. And then he goes and faces off against Timothy Oliphant's character, and he's basically winning that fight because Timothy Oliphant gets fucked up. I mean, he's bleeding that like white blood shit that the others were bleeding. So he's barely alive, but they both end up okay in the end, and they end up captured and tied up. Um, some people don't make it out though. We do finally find out what the plant does. So that was fun. One of the human soldiers that was left behind gets eaten by the plant. Um, and what else happened in this episode? Oh, you can tell that Boy Genius wants to feed somebody to the sheep, so the eyeball tentacle thing can get in the body, can get in somebody's body. He toys around with the idea of feeding it just to this like random guard, and then he's like, "No, I should feed it to somebody meek just in case." So then he has his. There's a story that Boy Genius tells in this, Boy Wonder, whatever he calls himself, uh, about how when he was a kid and he was, that his dad was a troglodyte that was drunk and used to beat him, and then went off to the factory and stuff. But he was, he had this high IQ, and he built uh, his first like cyborg thing when he was 6. And I think that's this old guy that's been like kind of in the episodes, but not heavily featured, because he gets to like throw people across the room later on. And that's what I got later on, is because Wendy's able to control him because of his computer. So he's like an android or whatever, like not a real person. I'm like, that's impressive for a 6-year-old, by the way. Uh, Props to build out when you're 6. First of all, I don't know where you get the parts for that. Like, I know this is where I've been pretty favorable on Alien Earth the whole time, except for the one episode where we went back to the crew and everyone was a dumbass. That episode's awful, but the rest of the show has been kind of inventive and creative and fun. This finale kind of shits the bed a little bit. And in some regards, notably this, where there's just no explanation as to how a 6-year-old built him, like with what parts, how long did it take. He makes it sound like that he built it while his dad was at work. I'm like, you built a fully functioning man while your dad was at work? With what tools? With what lab? You make it sound like you were poor, you grew up poor. So how did this happen for you? Whatever, it's just in some little story, little aside, he's telling about how, about how his dad beat him, so he built something to beat his dad up. But he makes it sound like he did it so quickly, and it was just so like a really easy thing for him to do at 6. So, uh, cool. You know what? Fine. Don't explain things. I would say I'm one of the critics who's been especially kinder to the series, and there's certainly some people out there who have not been very kind to the series. So, whatever. But I definitely a couple times in this episode was like, what is happening here? Why are we doing this? Did we run out of time? Are we cramming everything into this season finale? Because can we not have a 90-minute season finale? Can we not explain things more? It felt like we ran out of time. and they just needed to get to a certain point, which the certain point ends up being, well, I hope we get a second season, because that's I don't know. Did Noah Hawley get like a firm commitment from Disney on season two? I would imagine this is a fairly expensive show. So if this doesn't hit for them, it ends sort of in a bold way where it clearly, like, there is a part two to this. Like, this is not the end. And basically everyone's alive. All of the main characters who go into this episode are still alive at the end. We lose like some of Joe's friends. That's about it. Uh, some of the humans die. That's about it. I mean, honestly, the we even are going to get to keep Alfred Albert, whatever his name is, because that's where the eye monster goes. The eye alien ends up in that. Which I thought, honestly, uh, what a shit move, because I actually I look for foreshadowing sometimes, and he's having a conversation with I where he's like, wouldn't it be great to get you inside of a human? And I was thinking this was like a be careful what you wish for moment, because he's looking for that conversation to have. And I was like, oh, that eye monster is going to end up inside of him. He's going to get what he wants, gets what he wishes for, but he's not going to be able to have the conversation because it's going to be inside of him. Nope. No, and now it's in a corpse. So, sure. You know, fine. Okay. Whatever. Um, yeah, it's a weird hot take. But I mean, when the old guy was taking Joe in there, I kind of knew what was happening because they were talking about somebody who's meek, and I was like, maybe this is what they're doing. But I still thought it felt like in that scene that he was going to be so cocky that he'd be wanting there to watch this happen to Joe. So he was going to be in some position where it would end up not in Joe, but it would still end up in him. But no, he's just not there. He's just like, well, let me know when it's done, that kind of thing. And he's trying to escape, and he's like, $1 million to anybody who finds my bodyguard or whatever, trying to get out of there. But he's being followed by the xenomorph, who is well trained, by the way. The xenomorph is following Wendy's commands to the T and doesn't kill anybody that Wendy doesn't want it to. So at the end, we have this shot of it's like all of the Lost Boys who are all together and they're alive. Nobody else died. They all were able to get the people and bring them back. And then all of the other characters who were still alive, except for, again, like Joe's human soldier friends, are all in this room together. So, Timothy Oliphant and Morrow, Kirsch, sorry, I remember his name now. Morrow, Sylvie, and Boy Wonder, Boy Genius. They're all in this room together, along with the adult xenomorph and the young xenomorph that chest bursted. And they're all standing in this, and they're like, now what? And Wendy goes, now we rule the earth. I'm like, oh God. So I like this show in general. Like, I think there's a lot that I like about it. I think is really creative. I think what they're doing, uh, they've certainly tackled some interesting ideas, and the Boy Genius talking about how they're the floor models for, he's like, I've already made all this money and I have all this power, and now I'm about to introduce, immortality, people being able to live forever inside of, and true. I mean, like that was kind of like the cool thing was this science that they were introducing. So instead of being like a cyborg or just like a straight up robot, like you've got in between, you have, human conscious being placed into a robot body. So Uh, that was a neat trick. Uh, and the fact that Wendy can talk to the aliens, I do like that. And the fact that she's having these conversations with the xenomorph, I think is interesting. It's intriguing because the way that she's built and everything, the fact that she can understand them and create the sounds needed to be able to communicate is something that we haven't done before. And if you're going to keep doing alien movies, you might as well do something different every time instead of keep trying to make the same film over and over and over. Because let's face it, no one's ever going to make a better film. Uh, Once we got past Aliens, James Cameron was the person who came closest to Ridley Scott's. Everything else after that, including Ridley Scott returning to his own franchise, has been below the quality of the first two films. So, uh, what else is the point if you're not going to try to deviate, if you're not going to try to do something interesting or different with it? Sometimes you take risks like Alien Resurrection, it doesn't 100% pay off. Sometimes you do something goofy like Alien versus Predator, it doesn't 100% pay off. Sometimes you do something that's just kind of like, well, what was that? Like Alien Covenant, which is just kind of like a story we've seen before. Like, but at least Alien Earth is again trying to do something interesting and trying to do something different. Um, it has some nice performances, but my God, this show has to have a second season because what a failure of a finale otherwise. What a finale that has nothing to say and means nothing. It's a finale that is completely contingent upon there being a second season. So, and we live in a day and age where more and more studios and streamers have become more complacent in revoking second season orders. So even if this does have an early second season order, never rest on your laurels. I felt this about Amazon's Butterfly too, which ends in a very weird place. I was like, what is this ending? Stop ending with so much bold confidence that you're going to get another season, because then you just leave fans cold. And, I talk to so many people online and forums and stuff, and a lot of people don't watch in real life too. A lot of people don't watch shows until they're established. Then they binge them. So they won't start a show until it has two or three seasons because they don't like watching incomplete programs. They don't like those they would hate watching this and it having no resolution. So the studio what studios don't realize is when they're doing this, they're killing their audience. So hopefully Alien Earth does get a second season. Um, because if not, then it's just going to contribute to a larger part of the problem, which are these uh, shows that are allowed to end so open-endedly that it feels like there is another episode coming, but there isn't unless another season is coming. So it didn't really close anything. It didn't really close the book on season two. We still know that Morrow's Watani Corporation is coming, and they're on their way. And we didn't get to resolve that. We didn't resolve anything. We just kind of got everybody in the same room together and was like, Alien Earth. Fuck yeah. So I was sort of between like an 8.5 and a 9 on this. Um, and I think the finale kind of shit the bed a little bit. And between that and the fact that I really just don't like episode 5, now that I'm at the point where I'm trying to grade the final, how I like the show, I think there's some interesting stuff here. I do like the fact that we see other kinds of aliens. I think that's interesting. I think there's a lot to be said and a lot to like about Alien Earth. I like it more than at least some of the movies. Um, Not all of them. And I would watch a second season because I just think Noah Hawley didn't know what the fuck to do because he's so used to directing Fargo as an anthology series, which just ends. And he's like, well, I'm done. So he got to a season finale where he actually needed to do a season finale. And he's like, I don't know what to do. So he didn't wrap anything up. He just boldly believed that Disney was fully committed to the Alien Earth franchise. I hope they are. for your sake. Um, so I don't know. So Alien Earth season one. Yeah, like I said, overall I lean slightly positive. So Disney don't piss me off. You know, you don't want people like me like boycotting you ever again, because I'm actually generally mostly on your side, because I don't have reasons to not be. I'm not. I try to approach product from a neutral standpoint, and I try to see the best in everything. I'm here because I actually enjoy film and television, not because I want to pick it apart and be like, well, this was terrible. That sucked. I hate this. Why is everything crap all the time? There's some people who just, you watch their content, you read their reviews, and you're just like, do you like anything? Like, what do you like? Can you review something you like? Um, but yeah, I'm gonna give this an 8.2 out of 10. We've slid. I would have, at some point in the series, I was maybe as high as a 9. I don't think I would have ever gone above a 9, but we're down to like an 8.2. Episode 5 took away some I think that was 5, was the, or we went back to the ship. That definitely took away some points, and this finale took away some points. But I actually liked the episode before this. I thought it was interesting. Too bad I didn't recap it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys next season on Alien Earth. I mean, we're getting a 3rd season of Rings of Power, so sometimes you're just committed to a franchise. It wouldn't be that weird to see 3 seasons of Alien Earth either. So, yeah, see you guys on the other side.